Hello guys, how are you? The Code Holic is here. I continue a series on Yii2 framework, and in this video I want to talk about migrations. We're going to see how to create, apply or reapply migrations. We're going to see how to revert our migrations or see which migrations are already applied to the system. Okay, let's get started, and the very first thing I need to do is connect to the database. Okay, so I have already created database Yii2 course, and I'm going to set up my DSN username and password properly, okay, in db.php file. So my database name is Yii2 course, so I'm going to name it just like this, and I'm ready to create my first migration and apply it to the system. To generate a new migration, I need to run phpe, and here I need to run migrate. So phpe basically by its own gives us possibility to work with a couple of interfaces. We can generate migrations, we can create messages or work with messages, we can work with GII and so on, with cache and so on. Okay, so we are interested in migrations, and we can see what commands are available. So this migrate up is the default command which upgrades the application by applying new migrations. Migrate create creates new migration, migrate down downgrades or reverts the application migrations, and so on. You can definitely check out the output of phpe, and also I recommend to check out the link about DB migrations. So from very beginning, here is explained why you should use migrations, why migrations are generally really useful with examples, and how to apply and so on. So this covers everything fully. I'm not going to cover everything what is explained right here. I'm going to cover some really basic and useful things what are used daily. Okay. So let's go to my PHP Storm and create my first migration. Okay, my database connection I think is correct, and we're gonna see an error if it is not correct. Okay, phpe migrate create, and here I'm gonna give a name to my migration file. So before you give a name, make sure that this name is used in the file when the migration is generated. So don't give some invalid characters which cannot be used in the file name. Okay, so I'm going to give it a name like a first migration as a sample, and let's run it, and it asks me to create new migration, yes or no. I'm going to hit yes or just Y, and the migration is generated. Okay, by default the migrations are generated, or the migration folder is in app migrations. Okay, when the migrations are applied or generated, this folder is used. Okay, let's open this first migration, and here we have the class, and here we have method safeUp, safeDown, up and down. Okay, so the safeUp and safeDown methods are similar to each other, except one difference, that in safeUp and safeDown methods, all things you write there are wrapped inside the transaction. Okay, so if second, third things fail, the first thing will also not be applied. But that doesn't work when you work with schema. In MySQL, at least, I have experience, and I had some problems. If I have two commands written in safeUp and second one fails, the first one is still applied in the database, while the migration fully is not applied in the database. Okay. Anyway, they work in the same way, except that one difference. So I'm going to write my code in safeUp and safeDown. So I'm going to clear this up and down. In safeUp and in up also, you write the code which you want to be applied to the database, and in safeDown you write the opposite of what you have written in safeUp. Okay, sometimes we are too lazy to implement reversion of the migrations, and in this case you just need to return false with output that it cannot be reverted, like it is done right here. Okay, let's generate our first migration, and I'm going to show you a couple of methods working with migrations. Like, first of all is to create table. Okay, I'm going to create a user table with like one column, which is an ID, and this is a primary key. Okay, if I want to specify other fields like username, I can give it right here. It can be string. I can give it also a maximum length like 255. And let me show you a different types. Okay, like this boolean, for example. On MySQL, this boolean is casted actually to the tiny int. So I can write here string like integer or tiny int directly as a string, but it's always good practice to use methods, because in this case your code will be compatible with other RDBMS systems. Okay, it will be database agnostic, so when you run the migration and if you change the database next day and run the migrations, it will be applied also. Okay, let's create a Boolean column. We can also create like created it. It can be like a timestamp, or it can be even date time. So we have a couple of options right here. We have text also. If you want to use a long text on MySQL, you need to write this as a text, just like this, or medium text. Okay. So if you want to see the full list of methods or types, you can just type this and hit the enter, and you will see all the methods available right here. Or you can go to this base migration class by Control and mouse in your PHP Storm, and you can see all properties and methods which are available in the class. Or you can type also Control and F12 on your keyboard, and you will see all methods which are available right here. Okay, create table, rename table, truncate table, and so on. Okay, good. Let's go to the migration and create it at, let's say it's a timestamp. Okay. And now let's create, let's add some column. Let's use a second method, add column to the user table. The column name will be like email, for example. The maximum length will be a string. Maximum length will be 212. And I can also specify here like not null method. I can chain the methods like not null or unique. Okay, so I'm going to use not null method on the email. It's mandatory. I can do this right here on username also, not null. And so this will add new column to the database. Okay, cool. Let's continue and create one more table. I'm just going to show you how you can create tables, how you can add columns, how you can create foreign keys also, and then we're going to see how to generate all this code using a command line tool. Okay, so I'm going to create a second table, like a post table, for example, and give it an ID, of course, as a primary key, and just give it a title. Okay, now I want to create a foreign key. Let me add here also like a user ID, which will be an integer. And now I'm going to create a foreign key from this post table to the user. Okay, so this add foreign key, and here you give a name of the foreign key like f key post user. Then you use the table, the current table, post tables user ID refers to the user table ID. Okay, that's the foreign key syntax. Additionally, you can specify also what should happen on, let me hit enter right here, what should happen on delete and on update. Okay, so like on delete it can be cascade, and on update it can be also cascade or no action, as you prefer. So in most cases I leave these last two parameters as a default. So like foreign key, current table, current column, reference table, and reference column. If you once forget what are the arguments of this add foreign key method, you just need to follow this by Control and mouse, and you can read the full documentation also right here. You can also read the documentation in the browser in the following API documentation for EDB migration, and you can see all the methods which can be used in this migration class, okay, including this add foreign key. Okay, let's go to my PHP Storm, and what else we can do here. So we can use like, let me write also down to show you how to drop table or drop column or even foreign key. Okay, so we need to, in the down, we need to write the opposite of what we have written in the up, but also in the reverse order. Okay, like first we need to drop foreign key, and the name is f key post user, and it is on table post. Then we need to drop table post, my bad, drop table post, and then we need to drop column, or we can fully drop the user table in this case. Okay, drop table user. Okay, that's cool. Now we can run this migration and see what happens. Okay, so here's my database, which is empty. I'm gonna apply my migration by running php Yii2 migrate, and that's it. By default, it uses this up method. Okay, let's run this. One migration to be applied. Yes, the migration is applied, and I'm gonna synchronize my database. And here are the tables right now what I have. So this migration table is created by default when you apply migration. And this migration table contains all the migrations which are applied in the system. This is the base, which is applied by the framework itself, and this is the migration I have just created and applied. And here are tables. My user table has all the columns I gave, and my post table has only title and user ID, and the user ID also has the foreign key on the user table. Okay, so that's what we wanted. Okay, if I want to make some changes in the data, like insert a record in the database, I'm gonna have to write this. I can do this right here also, like insert, for example, the table name in the user. I want to insert like ID will be auto-generated, so I'm going to skip it, like username will be Zura, email will be like something at example.com. What else do we have here? We have like status and created at. Status will be 1 and created at will be the current timestamp, like time, for example. Okay, so I cannot apply this migration because it's already applied and it's marked in the migration table. Okay, here it is. So I can delete this record right here and try to reapply, but I will see an error because it will try to create a user table which already exists in the database. Okay, so I need to down my migration, php Yii2 migrate down. Okay, so I'm going to execute this, agree on this. The migration was successfully down. I'm going to synchronize, refresh my database, and here it is. I don't have user and post table anymore. In the migration, there's only written this base. Cool. Let's run the migration again because I have changed the code in the up method. Okay, agree on this. Migrations were applied, but there is an error. The error says on this migration, insert into user, column not found, unknown column created at. Okay, what's the column name? Create at. My bad. Created. So here I need created. And here is the important point what you need to know. So although the migration was not applied successfully, some of the things were applied, like create table user was applied, add column was applied, create table and add foreign key also was applied. So if I synchronize my table, I see that this happened, post and user tables exist, but the migration file doesn't have this migration, first migration marked there as an applied. So that's the thing what you need to keep in mind, and if it's possible, always split your migrations into multiple files and don't write a couple of commands like I did here. I just want to show you what possibilities we have, and I generally don't do this in real projects. Okay, so I need to manually drop these post and user tables right now and try to execute the migration once again. Okay, this time it was successfully applied. I can synchronize my table. Everything is the same except that in the user table I have now a record, which is this one. Okay, so this create at is null simply because I gave here like a time, but the timestamp, this data type is actually a timestamp which is date. So if I want to insert this, I probably need to use date with some MySQL format, or if I want to use like a Unix timestamp, I need to use created, let me correct this, created it to be an integer for Unix timestamp and not timestamp, okay? And the created it will be this time in this case. Let me drop these two tables once again, open the migration and delete this line so this migration is not applied, and let's try to apply it once again. Here is the user table, and the created at Unix timestamp is also written there. Okay, good. Now I want to show you how to generate migrations with the correct naming of the files from the command line. I'm going to write php Yii2 migrate create and create user1 table. So I already have user table, so it will throw an exception. So I'm going to create user1 table, hit the enter, agree on this, and it will generate this new migration file there. And there is written this create table already. And this table name uses curly braces and %, which is for table prefixes. And it's good practice also to use these table prefixes. Okay, so I generally use this in my real projects, and definitely I recommend to use this also. Okay, let me now delete this and recreate it with some additional fields. So create user1 table ---- fields, and here I specify additional fields. Okay, the IDs added automatically, but I can add like username, it to be a string with maximum 55 characters, like it's I want to be a not null, and I want also it to be unique, my username. And let's add email to be just string, like with okay, let it be just string with not null. Okay, let's run this, and here is the code, and I see ID, username, and email, and the username is string, not null, unique, and the email is just string and not null, which is pretty cool. Okay, if I want to add a new column, I'm going to run php Yii2 migrate create add like status column. If I want to add another column like created add column, I would just write here underscore created add column to user1 table. Okay, and I'm gonna specify here fields ---- fields. I'm gonna describe the type of the status column and the created add column. Okay, if you want to just add one column, you just need to remove the selected code, and it would be just add status column to user1 table. Okay, status, I want it to be Boolean, and I can specify also default value, it to be active like 1, comma, and the created it I want it to be integer column. Okay, yeah, that's it. Okay, let's run this, and here is migration, and there is 2 add column commands, both of them for user1 table, status Boolean, default value 1, created at integer, and this code also creates down for us. Okay, drop column status and drop column created at. Okay, now let me create one more migration. Drop email column from user1 table. Okay, let's execute this. And here is drop email column, which by default is empty because we need to specify also this ---- fields. Okay, so this ---- fields is necessary to describe the type of the email. Although we are dropping the column, there should be written a code in the safeDown. So that's why we need to specify type, like email should be a string, okay, like maximum 255. Okay, let me delete this last migration, execute the code, and here is drop column email from user1, and here is the add column, and this uses this string 255. Okay, now let me create a post table, migrate create post table. Okay, we already have post table in the first migration, so I'm going to call it post1. create post one table dash dash fields will be like, it will have ID by default. So I'm going to give it title to be a string. I'm going to give it body to be text, and I'm going to give it like created by, which will be the user who actually created it, and I'm going to give it not null. And I also want to add a foreign key to the user1 table. So I will use foreign, I have a mistake, foreign key on the user1 table. Okay, so this will create a foreign key. This will generate the proper code foreign key. Okay, so this created by, I have also to specify the type integer. Okay, it should be integer, not null, and foreign key to user1. Okay, let's execute this. Here is create post one table. Okay, here is the code, and it created the index automatically, and it added this foreign key to the user1 table. Okay, and let's execute this. All migrations, migrate, and 4 migrations are about to be applied. I hit yes, and let's have a look at the outputs. It seems like every migrations were applied successfully. So let's have a look in the database. We have these post one, user one tables. User one has the following columns, post one has the following columns, and the created by has foreign key on the user one table, which is pretty cool. Okay, let me show you one more thing. So if I want to create a junction table between two columns, between two tables, excuse me, like the two tables have many connections between each other, and I want to create a junction table for this. I'm going to do this php migrate create, and here is the name of the migration, like the template of the name. Create junction table for user1 and post one tables. And additionally, I can specify here like some additional columns which will be added to the table, like ---- fields will be like, I want to add a date when this record is saved, like created it to be an integer. Okay, let's execute this. And here is the code. It creates this user1 post one table with all necessary columns, including this created at. It creates also indexes. It creates foreign keys to the user1 table, foreign key and index to the post one table, and it also writes everything necessary in this safeDown method. And that's really big improvement in the latest versions of Yii framework that wasn't in the old versions. And if you get used to this naming and start writing your migrations with this naming, it will help you to speed up your development a lot. Now let me show you a couple of options when working with migrations using the command line tool. Okay, so let me first migrate all files. Yes, and when I want to down my migrations, by default, all migrations will be reverted. Okay, so let me synchronize this and run php e migrate down. Excuse me, by default, only the last migration will be reverted. So if I run this, it's about to revert the last migration, which is a create junction table. Okay, so let me hit no. If I want to revert last couple of migrations, I need to specify an argument number, like 4, for example. Okay, and this will try to revert last 4 migrations, which is the following migrations. Okay, if you want to down the all migrations, you need to specify all right here, and this will down all migrations, including this first migration. Let me hit no. If you want to apply all your migrations, you just write migrate up, but you have also a possibility to apply like only one migration or only 2 migrations with giving this number like 2 or 1 or etc. If you want to redo all migrations, you can use this redo method with the number, how many migrations you want to redo. If you want to see the history, which migrations are already applied to the system, you need to use this migrate history, and it shows you which migrations are applied to the system. You can also customize the folder where the migrations by default are saved. So if you run this migrate create, by default it creates migration in this app migrations folder, but we can specify here folder name like -- migration path, and I'm gonna give right here like app migrations /db, for example. I want by default the migrations to be saved under the subfolder db. Okay, let's run this, and I'm going to give it a name like test migration. Okay, so let's hit the yes, and it generates this test migration in the subfolder in the db. If I want to like stop asking this yes no question, I'm going to disable this interactive mode by giving this -- interactive argument set to false or 0. And when I run this, it doesn't ask me, it doesn't try to confirm from me, it just generates this new test migration in the given subfolder. Okay, so there are much more commands available when working with migrations, but these are the commands which are mostly used probably daily, or you need it really often compared with other commands. But if you are interested in the full list of commands which are available, you just need to type phpe without any argument basically, and it gives you the full list to work with the console interface, and you can have a look at these migrate commands like mark, new, redo to, and so on. They are really interesting, and I recommend to check it out. You can find this link in the video description, which covers everything in details from the top, including some advanced things also which I didn't consider necessary to explain right now. So if you're interested, definitely check this out. And yeah, we came at the end of this video. So I hope you liked it. I hoped I helped you in understanding how to work with migrations, what are migrations, and how to create with these command line namings. And again, if you like the video, hit the like, subscribe button, and share this video. Let me know also in the comments what you think, and see you guys in the next time.